I'm Seamless, and this is Superior Drummer 3. And the next couple of videos, I'm going to show you how to build a kit with not just the stuff that's inside this kit that you get, which is a lot, but all the neat, fun things you get out of all the other kits that you can actually just smash together inside one Superior Drummer, grooved up and mixed down and all that stuff. And I'm going to show you how to do this basically piece by piece, because there's a lot of really fun things you can do that will take a very long time to get through in one video. So today, this first video is going to be about the kick. It's going to be about constructing basically a perfectly in control kick for you, and then using that to be like, I can perform it throughout a whole song. The next video, we'll get done doing the snare, and then the third one will probably be able to do just everything else there, because we'll have done enough of the same thing enough times in a row that we won't have to talk about it again. So let's begin. Step one for me when I'm doing this is I'm going to have my empty kit, or my first kit, and go to the part presets and get the empty kit. Ta-da. The mixer is nice and dead. Everything is cool. It's up in there and good. And I'm going to pick a kick, and I'm going to make a reinforcement, and then I'm going to make some effects for it. It's going to be interesting there. So let's just get a kick. And other than the kicks that are in here, there actually are, like, the kicks that I actually like the best out of all the ones that are available for here are actually the ones in the kit called Area 33. Like, they all have such power at every dimension, it's ridiculous. And the mic availability is also insane. So when you pick a new guy that's not from the kit that you're in originally, you will want to make sure that the microphones are routed correctly. And chances are they're not. So on top of that, also, chances are you don't even need most of the mics anyway. In this case, I want all the close mics, and I want the select a couple of air mics I'm going to use, but not all of them. So in we go. We're gonna get our kick in, gonna kick in, kick out, kick one batter, which is basically also a kick in, and then kick stereo that I'm just gonna toss in its own channel. I would actually have tossed that in one of the other kick channels, like the sub, because this guy doesn't have a sub. But that's just because this is a stereo channel. It needs two inputs. So in our bleeds, though, I'm not gonna bother with the bleeding into the left kick, which is there is another kick, so that's what that's for. But in the Area 33 kit. But I'm going to put it in the overheads. And specifically, I'm going to put them into the overhead condensed. The overhead dynamic is where the cymbals go by default on this kit, which means I'm deliberately separating the metals from the woods insofar as overhead's concerned. And then I'm going to amp mid into amp mid, and then I'm going to the biggest guy into the biggest guy. So between these guys, I should be able to get the right control of air that I want for the kit. And this is now our kick. So though, let's talk about support. This guy's got basically the right high frequency profile and also the right timing, but the air lasts way too long, and that's way too wobbly and an unclean low frequency for it to go for that long as well. And there's a number of problems with this, because the first thought is like, okay, cool, just make it short. Like I do that for samples all the time, right? Just shorten right up. And yeah, you totally can do that, but you also heard the air just die. It's gone now. It turns out you actually could do half and half. Because all those separate mics, those are all separate samples, because they're not actually microphones. We're not really, as much as this thing does an amazing job of convincing you you're dealing with a recorded microphone setup, you're not. You're dealing with samples, which means that you can selectively shorten or lengthen the ones that are in the close or the far mics. So here's just our close. Let's shorten them up. A little more. Perfect. Now let's play it again. Oh, we still have air. And that's, I just went to the mixer to try to go to the mixer. That's not where I'm going. So yes, that worked out. This is in there, this is in here, this is in here. They're all going to be quite long, but what we are going to do for these anyway is to give them high pass filters. And that's not going to translate to all three of these, is it? I keep forgetting it doesn't do that. But that, oops. I had all three of them selected, so that means it did the action on all three of them together on the thing. But that's okay, because I can A, just do this again, and then B, do the actual trick, which is to control-click to copy it onto your thing. And mid. Right. So, cool. So that guy, that's all up in there and out. What's still that long? Oops, I'm the stereo. I always forget the stereo. Yep, there we go. Now it's down there, it's cool, but it's also still not terribly clean and not very long. And when it is long, it's also not clean. Like there's so many problems with how like the low end of kick drums work, right? If you wanted to be the sort of like modern, ludicrously and like powerfully in control that things tend to be. And the way they were going to deal with that is to support it with electronic power. And there's actually a couple ways to do this. In the case of this guy, what I'm going to do, yeah, okay, I'll use a different type of reinforcement for the snare, but for this one, we're actually going to stay inside just the regular Superior Drummer 3 kit. So it turns out you can do that because on top of the regular, just like the kit stuff they give you, they also give you just a whole ass just whack of electronic stuff. Like the kitchen sink was given to you in this kit, insofar as like things to reinforce your stuff with. Here's a bunch I favorited. They're all high passed right now because they're all coming out of the kick, which is not super helpful for what I want to do right now. But unfortunately, I kind of already know which one I want because I know what it sounds like. It's this one. Oh, that's because I'm on replace. That's why. I don't want to replace. I want to add onto the stack. Add to right. Core library. Kapow. Nope. There we go. Yeah, that's better. Isn't that neat? So that's actually kind of okay for how it is right now, but what I am going to do anyway is put an EQ up on the toppest bit. So that like it just, because the higher frequencies again were already handled. Like, that feels nice. Still my shorteny though. And because this has no ambient mics, this is fair. Oh, that feels good. So this is the beginning of this one. So right now we have a main kick and a sub kick. And when it comes to routing the outputs, that's how I tend to want that to go. Now, for a lot of other reasons, we're actually going to not go straight to the outs, but in fact, get the buses going. So this guy counts as our sub now. That's what this is. So he's going to go into our kick sub, and then this plus everything else we got, it's going to go to kick main. I don't think there's anything here. Can I move this channel? I can hide it. It doesn't really count. All right. Yep. Now we have our two elements here, and we're going to route. We're going to use them to do like other stuff like side chaining and effects and whatnot. For other stuff, we have other things. But right now, I'm actually going to put on a different thing. Oh, I'm going to do one more thing though, which is to adjust the velocity curve of this so that it shuts up way earlier. Because I only want that kind of incredible reinforcement to happen on the highest velocities when I'm trying to have power, you know. And if I have lower power, we can be tappy. No guy would tappy for that. I do though want to add a completely different kit, like two other sounds. And in this case, I want to add a lowish kind of just like boomy synthy kick, and then I also want to add like an impact kick. So these are not going to be on this kit at all, though. Like in the kit structure, it's going to be its whole own thing. So when I want to make an impact kick, I'm gonna build that out of just like a thing here. This, okay, and here's why. Because there's a pitch effects option that lets me continue to slide it down, which I wanted it to do. Like so. Oh, come on, y'all. Perfect. So this is already in its channel, already doing a thing, which is good because all we need to do now, put EQ on it. This is going to control for the high end tone of it. Give it a particularly spoopy reverb and compress the crap out of it. Yeah, and then compank it again. with a high end this time to protect it from overdriving. Are you on? Oh, cool. We have options here. Neat. And then boop. Cool. That's basically it. And the texture and the tone is controlled for sort of by this guy, because like the lower you are with it, the more like darker it is. But like the higher you are with it, the more there's like kind of like activity. So this is the sort of thing that like you play in like the beginnings and like in important moments and like not even the main parts of songs, but the parts when like the main kick is not being used, because it's the thing that's like spice. It's pretty neat. So this is gonna go out here. Call this impact. Cool. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And now one more drum, one more kick. I want to add a pretty synthy kind of like effecty kick. Oh, I don't want to keep going in there. And what I want to add is one of the coolest things I've encountered yet from Superior Drummer is this Hitmakers Machines pack. Hitmakers is also its own regular drum pack with regular drums, but it's also this pack that takes all of those incredibly formative electronic drum sounds and it puts them out into the room to record them like an actual piece of drum. And it like is how they did that stuff back in the day, and it sounds like it. It just really sounds like it. Like the turbo kit. Ah, it's so good. So how I like to route these is that all of the amps count as am mid to me. So they all go in am mid. And then they all get adjusted individually, but when I do tend to adjust them individually, they end up being at the same level anyway. So that's why I don't really care for them to be a different channel. So that's all out there as such, and then this is going to get its own last deal. So you go to number 4. Call it an effects kick. So like we have the actual performative use kick, the performative like let's make a interesting like sound effect kind of kick. Maybe a little more than that up there, but like yeah. And then this guy, which is blows me away every time I hear it, how on that is. But I am gonna perfect. Yeah, cool. So that's it for this particular video. This is pretty much the setup going on here. We have our reinforced main kick guy, impact guy, and synth effect kit kick. Wow, turbo. SP1200. I have never seen one of those in my life. Anyway, in the next video, we'll do almost the same thing, but we're going to do it for the snare. We're going to come up with like the snare's tone, the snare fundamental reinforcement, get the snare extra stuff, and then also like compressing it together. Because we didn't do that to the kick, but that's because they can exist in their own individual components. This, though, requires some work, and that will be a whole thing. Tune in for that, yeah. If you have any questions about this, please let me know. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and all that fun stuff, and as usual, have a nice day.